For decades, clinical models have treated human consciousness as a mechanism of discrete compartments. You are either asleep or awake, conscious or unconscious. A switch is flipped, a box is checked, and a state is defined. However, high-resolution neural firing patterns show that these binary transitions rarely occur. Instead, we observe overlapping activity across multiple systems, suggesting a layered rather than categorical architecture. The Brain Kinematics model, or BKM, formalizes this observation by proposing that brain activity is distributed and simultaneous. Multiple modes of organization exist within the same neural population at exactly the same time. This can be represented through the consciousness composition vector. By tracking 4 variables, the unconscious, U, the subconscious, S, the conscious, C, and the highly integrated superconscious, SC, we can map the brain state as a 4-dimensional coordinate. This vector is governed by a strict mathematical constraint. The sum of these 4 shares must always equal exactly 1. At any given millisecond, as one value decreases, the others must absorb the remaining share of the total organization. Any observable mental state is therefore not a single location in the brain, but a continuously shifting, weighted mixture of these 4 organizational layers. This composition vector implies an underlying physical mechanism. We have to ask, what biomechanical substrate forces the brain to calculate and maintain this specific mathematical mixture? These percentages represent more than just descriptive labels. To be scientifically useful, they must correspond to the actual physics of neural tissue. The vector must be the direct emergent output of physical forces, energy, tension, and pressure acting upon the brain's physical structure. The BKM framework is built upon a fundamental mathematical premise, treating the brain as a viscoelastic continuum. In this model, the tissue behaves like a dense, elastic medium that stretches, stores energy, and rebounds. Because it is a continuous medium rather than a collection of isolated parts, physical tension distributes across vast networks. This allows multiple organizational states to exist simultaneously within the same physical material. To understand how these simultaneous states emerge, we must track how physical tension, the actual mechanical strain, propagates and settles through this elastic neural tissue. Within this viscoelastic continuum, energy and tension cluster into formations called strain clouds, distributed groups of nodes that hold and transfer mechanical energy. These localized clouds are dynamic. They are continuously alternating between 3 physical phases that determine their organizational impact. Strain flow, or F, represents active circulation through network nodes. Strain consolidation, or K, locks energy into place, forming stable attractors. Strain release, or R, redistributes tension, unlocking structures to reorganize the network to baseline. The continuous balancing of flow, consolidation, and release provides the mathematical basis for the energy state of the human brain. This allows us to map the physical state directly to the psychological state. The balance of F, K, and R calculates the U, S, C, and SC state space. Consolidated strain generates autonomic functions, reading as unconscious dominance. Unconsolidated flow generates intuitions, weighting the subconscious coordinate. Active flow recruiting attractors creates conscious organization. Large-scale resonance synchronizes separated clouds, driving the vector into the superconscious coordinate. This high-coherence state allows for the integration of disparate information, producing sudden insight and exceptional concentration. Psychological categories are not locations in the brain, but the direct readouts of these internal viscoelastic strain dynamics. We can apply this mapping to a complex action, like driving a car. Habitual steering and pedal control rely on highly consolidated strain attractors in the unconscious layer. Simultaneously, a looser flow of strain operates in the subconscious layer to monitor the environment for hazards. In this single moment, your brain maintains a 10% unconscious base and a 40% subconscious monitor. Your 40% conscious layer intentionally tracks traffic signals, while a 10% superconscious sliver may be integrating a research problem in the background. Contrast this distribution with the onset of sleep. As you sleep, active flow drops. Consolidation and release spike as the brain stores memories and reconfigures its networks. The physical proportions shift, and the vector re-weights toward the symbolic processing of the subconscious layer. Lucid dreaming occurs when an anomalous injection of active flow spikes the conscious coordinate back into the mixture, allowing awareness to persist within dream organization. Moving between different states of reality requires no structural switch, only a shift in the physical proportions of strain. These momentary fluctuations explain the present moment, but the long-term compounding of these strain configurations builds the self. Persistent recruitment and consolidation carve deep topographical valleys into a continuous mesh, stabilizing into attractor families. Momentary flow creates working memory. Reinforcement locks it in through consolidation. During sleep, release cycles trigger dream formation and cultivation, connecting new data to established structures. This cultivated organization finally undergoes sublimation, where the pattern becomes so deeply ingrained that it operates as a baseline of the system. Identity is not a static object, but a dynamically carved landscape built from millions of momentary strain resolutions. BKM allows us to redefine the core elements of the human mind through the lens of kinematics. Personality represents the long-term statistical organization of strain clouds and deeply carved attractor landscapes. It is the path of least physical resistance built over time. Mood is the intermediate timescale organization, the temporary baseline tension that dictates how the landscape behaves over days or weeks. Thoughts are the temporary, high-speed streamlines moving through and reacting to those established clouds and valleys. The mechanical variables drive the psychological outcomes. From a passing thought to the structural continuity of your identity, the mind is generated by the continuous alternation of flow, consolidation, and release within a viscoelastic continuum.